At 2, my wife's glasses exposed her cheating, so I blindsided her by selling the house and serving her divorce papers. Update 1, thanks to this lovely community, I'm here again to share the remaining bites. So after that video call crap, I was stunned for the next 2 days. Not proud of it. I avoided all calls and texts from her. Texted her back that I was busy. 2 days later, my manager called me, asking if I was fine because I'd missed some very important meetings and briefs. I broke down and told him everything. We've been working together for years, and we've built that sort of rapport. He asked me if I wanted a break or maybe to go back home and sort out the stuff. I immediately requested him for a transfer without thinking twice because I didn't want to go back to that city. He asked me to sleep over the thought. I did revisit my decision, but that only led to plotting my nuclear revenge. Like I said, I work for a construction company, and one of its wings deals in property sales, and I'd originally bought the house through them. They have some employee discounts, which I cashed in very early in my career. I had a house even before I started dating Joanna. I figured I might be able to sell it without her even knowing about it. So the next day, I called up my manager and told him I wanted to sell this property. He connected me with the right team, and since my house details were already in the system, it was easy enough to start the process. Meanwhile, I requested my manager to facilitate my transfer. It was a tough decision, but I knew I wanted this. I didn't want to just leave the house behind, I wanted to leave everything behind. Then I also hired a lawyer. It took me a week to get a 1-hour appointment. That's when I realized the demand for divorce lawyers in our country. They get business from these cheating whores who can't control their lust. Anyway, I discussed my case and shared the evidence. Sadly, you cannot do much except for divorce. I might also have to give alimony because we live in a no-fault state. Quite pathetic, right? I know, but I'm ready for everything to get rid of that cheating witch. During the remaining 2 weeks of my stay, I barely spoke to her. She occasionally video chatted me, and I would respond, but I remained silent for most of the time. She would ask me if everything was fine, and I would put on my brightest smile and say yes, just that I'm too busy with work. The transfer and the house sale couldn't happen in 2 weeks, and I also had to take my stuff out from the house. So I had to head home at the end of my 1-month stay. I went back home as scheduled and tried to play it cool, which was very, very hard for me. I told her I would have to leave for another trip next week. She faked a sad face, but I knew deep down she would be dancing at the thought of having her jerk affair partner in the house. I booked a hotel near my work until I was transferred to the new city. I spent the week at home only to whisk away my important stuff without her knowing about it. The first night I spent in the house, she wanted to initiate intimacy, but I shrugged it off, saying I was tired from the travel. She got upset and said I was behaving very rudely. Not sure if she was acting or if she really was, but I couldn't care less. I dozed off, saying I was too tired to deal with it right now. Then on the next night, she waited for me to make the move. You know this thing about women, once you decline their sex move, they won't do it again. For the next few days, I played the part of the clueless husband. I even cooked dinner and acted like everything was perfect, just to see her face while I planned the ultimate blindside. But inside, every time I looked at her, all I could think of was her making out with him, lying to my face, acting like I was some kind of fool. Her presence disgusted me. When she went to work, I packed all my important stuff and slowly shifted them to storage. During my stay in the house, I searched for more evidence but could find none. I checked with my lawyer if the video I had gathered through the reflection of her glasses counted and if that was enough. He said it was. Can't reveal all the details, sorry. The night before I was supposed to leave, she came to me with teary eyes and said she wanted to talk about something. It seems she wanted to confess something we all know. My heart sank, I felt caught off guard. I immediately diffused the situation, saying, I know I've been distant since I returned, but I promise things will get better once after this. She whispered it was about something else. I said, whatever it is, I assure you it will be solved soon, but right now, my mind is too occupied with work-related stuff. I didn't want her to confess, I wanted to rip her apart when she was off guard. She tried to seduce me, and I gave in, knowing that this would be the last time I was ever close to her. Made my stomach churn, but occasionally, her cheating scene flashed and gave her the pain she deserved. Really hard pain, and continued until she could no longer take it. I've always been gentle and soft otherwise. It made me feel guilty later. I shouldn't have done that. I do feel sick and pathetic later, but can't help it now. I deliberately left when she was at work, leaving a note on the kitchen counter that I had to leave before schedule. She called me, I declined or forwarded it to voicemail. All her texts got one reply from me, I was busy. I checked into the hotel where I stayed until my transfer. The house sale was pretty smooth. I gave up my ownership rights and immediately got the check once the paperwork was done. My company sent her an eviction notice. She absolutely lost it. She thought it was a misunderstanding. She blew up my phone with calls and texts. One of her texts read, why aren't you replying? Someone took away our house and sent me an eviction notice. Where the hell are you? I wanted to send her the divorce paper and eviction notice together, but that plan got delayed because the divorce paper took longer to arrive. I demand they say, but this was also fun. She ran to the government office to verify the notice and got to know that the previous owner, me, had sold the house. Initially, she thought it was some sort of misunderstanding, and she hired a lawyer to fight for it. Just then, she got another shocker, the divorce paper. She quickly added up the puzzle pieces and got the hang of the situation. Her next message was, you coward, didn't have the balls to break up in my face, did you? She accused me of cheating during my work trip and leaving her for another woman. It was then I shared the video that I had recorded, and her attitude changed completely. She started to apologize and begged, saying it was a misunderstanding, he was just a friend, and blah blah. I blocked her after that. Then I went to the bank and emptied our joint account, transferring everything into my account. I'd worked hard for that money, and there was no way I was leaving it behind for her. Blocking her number didn't stop her. She moved to emails, each one more desperate than the last, asking for a chance to explain herself, as if there was any explanation that could justify what she'd done. Her reason for calling it a mistake or a moment of weakness was the least helpful. When she realized I wasn't responding, the emails turned angry. She called me cruel and heartless and said I'd overreacted by selling the house and taking the money, that I was the one ruining her life. Her life. She had no idea the pain she'd caused, the betrayal she'd inflicted. She said, "How could you just take away everything we built together?" Look at her audacity. I took away everything when she was the one effing around in my absence. I ignored it all. She deserved every bit of this. I haven't spoken to her since I left home. I know I'll have to face her soon. The court hearing is approaching. I'm mentally preparing myself for that. Edit to add, by the way, I got the transfer a week ago, and I'm just settling in a new city, looking forward to building my life from scratch. Hope I'm not too old for that. A moment of weakness, right? If I had a nickel for every time someone said, he's just a friend,